Here's a quick quiz for you. What's the collective noun for a group of doctors? Some might say a hospital. I think it's actually probably more a faculty. And we have many doctors with us today, a body of professionals, Brenda, that are working in support of the Conscious Companies Institution. And it's really wonderful to introduce Dr. Dominik Heil. Dominik is a well-published academic, and he is pioneering an approach to identify and assess reputation risks. Dominik is a partner of Hewers, a niche market crisis communication and reputation risk management consultancy, and he is a program director at the Cranfield School of Management in the UK. Please welcome Dr. Dominik Heil.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Does this work? Oh, good. Great. Thank you. Thank you. So I've been invited to talk a little bit about reputation and leadership. And I want to start with a piece of research that we have done. Can you just click it through to the next one? Somehow, I don't know where it's. Maybe. It's not behaving. Would you be able to change the slide? Yeah, there we go. So one of the things that we are doing is to do reputation risk analysis. And this is a piece of work that we did a couple of years ago that was in the beginning of 2017. It's a time that is actually mentally for us now long ago. Zuma was still firmly in the saddle in government. People were very despondent in South Africa. And we did this analysis about South Africa's reputation around the world. And one of the things that we found was that there was an imminent crisis around corruption filtering through to the international arena. So if you look at this slide, you see on the side how high the impact of certain topics would be, and then you see at the bottom the likelihood of certain things materializing, and I've juxtaposed or put on top of those risks a very simple risk matrix so that you can see how a risk analysis in our world works. And I recall presenting this in, I think it was January, February 2017, and in April, one of the talk show hosts of 702 called me and said, look, I just had friends from overseas, and they talk about South Africa in a way that I just do not recognize. They talk about it so positively, and we are seeing that things are not going well, corruption's everywhere. And I said, this is exactly what our research is showing, is that there is this disjunct that eventually will have to give. If this is too big, it will crystallize around a particular issue. And a couple of months later, then the Gupta email leaks came out. Bell Pottinger disappeared. A whole bunch of auditing firms and consulting firms got into major trouble. And so the story went. And you can see when you do your analysis about your reputation risks and also the opportunities well, you can actually see with a high degree of confidence what is going to come. We also see here where the opportunities are. The South Africa, and that is still the case, has a case for being a very wonderful, beautiful country that when people come, they go back and they tell their friends what a beautiful place this is, and they bring more people along. So on the left-hand side there, you see where our reputational opportunities are. Of course, the picture now looks different because these these issues in the red quadrant have materialized, so they are now in the global conscience. And I suppose if we want to rebuild our reputation, this is really where we could do it. And I'm starting with this slide because I think that when we talk about conscious leadership, we need to look not only at us. So are we conscious? Do we do our work on ourselves? What is really important, if you combine consciousness with leadership is happening out there. And the work that we are doing is to show people what's out there. What's out there inside their organizations, what's out there outside the organization. It's sort of interesting that when we talk about leadership, we talk at the leader a lot. That's similar to if you would look at, am I giving a great talk? You look at me as if here is where the talk happens. The talk happens where you are. Either what I'm saying makes a difference where you are, or it's meaningless. Leadership does not happen here, it happens there. And the task is, I think, the first task of anyone who is interested in leading is to see what is actually the situation out there, what does it call for? What do individuals call for? What does a group call for? What does an organization call for? What do my stakeholders call for? Can you change the slide, please? Yeah, next slide. I've said that. So what I've learned in dealing with reputation, and I've done reputation studies now for, 20 years or so, is you cannot manage a reputation independent of the culture of the organization. You need to understand both of them at the same time and then figure out how do I bring them together with my strategy. And the tricky bit here is that I hopefully know what my strategy is, but often we don't know what our culture is, we don't know what our reputation is, because it's not running around there somewhere where I can pin it down and sort of say, here it is, this is how I change it. And I suppose it's therefore our work is to figure out, how do I show what that reputation is? How do I show what the culture is? To what degree are those two elements in harmony with each other or in disharmony? And when they're in disharmony, then risks emerge, opportunities get lost, and the task of leaders is really to bring those three areas together and I'm looking for the word, to hone into them, to resonate with them, to listen to them. I'm going to change the slide, please. Yeah, so this is sort of conceptually always my most important slide in looking at what the task of leaders is in building a reputation. If you look at this matrix, what determines what's good or bad is the strategy, is your intent, is your values. So either your reputation is in line with your values or it's not in line with your values. Either your culture is in line with your values or it's not in line with your values. So that shows sort of where you are on those axes. Now, often when people come to people like me who deal with reputation, they think I could just change your reputation by doing some clever PR and go out there, maybe work with marketing people. But what that would do, as you can see here, is it would just put the reputation from bad to good without doing anything to the culture. And what that actually does is it puts the organization at great risk. Similarly, if I just work on my culture, but I don't really let people know out there, there is a missed opportunity. Imagine you build an organization that is, as we've sort of heard, is this highly conscious, ethical, wonderful place, and people don't know about your organization being that place. You would lose out on attracting those people who would fit into this organization and who would really appreciate working in the organization. So the task here is really to figure out, how do I go on that diagonal towards the sun? How do I make sure that those two things go together? And I suppose that is the work that I've been engaged in for now many years and done for many companies, and it's a huge privilege to do that kind of work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Dominik, that's particularly relevant. I'm sure, if I may just point out, I've got some colleagues in the audience, and what you've just said is particularly relevant to us as we, as I mentioned earlier on, are in the middle of a merger process, bringing together the cultures of two organizations and trying to create the best of both worlds as we move forward. So I really enjoyed the approach and frameworks that you presented to us today, very valuable to us.